Chapter 10, Yud of the Ma'amar, the Chassidic discourse, the Chassidic statement called Bati Lagai. Chapter 10. Up to now we've talked about the responsibility of the Jewish people for the whole entire world, beginning with Abraham, that Abraham began to bring God's presence, awareness into the world. Even though he was very, very far, but the generations before him had driven God's presence away from the world. What does it mean, driven God's presence away from the world? It's like a person that, a normal person, the first time he steals, he feels a little bit bad. His conscience bothers him. The second time it bothers him less. The third time it bothers him even less. And then finally it becomes a big challenge for him to steal more, and then it's a natural thing for him to steal. And his feeling of what is right and what is wrong, what's proper, why he's here is gone. That's the Shekhinah. The Shekhinah is God's presence. God created the world with a purpose, and this purpose is supposed to be available and perceivable by every human being. And when people perceive that purpose, then they perceive also that every human being has his own unique part in the whole plan of the universe. That's what human beings are. And so it's very diverse, very dynamic, very positive, very optimistic, happy. That's the idea of feeling God in the world. The main place with this, the example of how this is possible, was the Holy Temple. The Holy Temple was a place where they would even take animals and use animals for holiness. Animals will become holy. If so much more so human beings can become holy. If so much more, but it's up to the Jews, it's up to the Jews to illustrate the whole world how to do this. So every Jew is like a holy temple. That's what Moses did. Moses at Mount Sinai, he made it that every single Jew is a holy temple. The Shekhinah is now in the world, but we just have to reveal it. And that's a very difficult job. It requires going against our nature to do good and to turn from bad, called eskafia, forcing ourselves. And that eventually brings to what's called eshapcha, that we actually enjoy. It becomes our identity to do good and to turn away from not good. Who determines what is good and what's not good? The Torah. Yud. V'zeu asali migdash v'shachanti b'tocham. That's what it means. Make me a holy temple. God said to Moshe, make me a holy temple, v'shachanti b'tocham, and I will dwell within them. B'toch chol lo ne'amar. It doesn't say I will dwell only in it. Ela b'tocham, but inside of each and every one of them to this very generation. So if you are a Jew, then believe it or not, accept it or not, you are a holy temple. You have tremendous potential for good. That each and every one, kasher when, mahapech, he transforms michashecha, from darkness, from selfishness, from confusion, linahora, to godliness, to purpose. Harebi old estalik Yekoda the Kodesh Baruch Hu. There spreads out the glory of Hashem Bakula Omin in all of the worlds. What does it mean in all the world? That all the world, the whole entire creation, spiritual as well, benefits. Shenase Yitron, or there's a new type of light revealed in the world. What does it mean, new type of light? That you please God Himself. This of course makes no sense, but it makes even less sense to people destroying themselves. The wars and the hatred, that makes even less sense. So it requires something above understanding, namely to transform one's own concentration on yourself and on your own comfort zone into godliness. That's the name of the game. Nowadays there's all these seminars and self-help books and self-improvement books that all of them come from just exactly this idea that people are too concentrated on themselves. They're concentrated, and these self-help programs, they say it's not that you're concentrated on yourself, you're concentrated on yourself in a confused way. You have to be concentrated on yourself in a concentrated way. Think only about yourself. Think only about yourself. Well, this, of course, is a big mistake. People are starting to realize that it is. That they're always thinking about, what am I going to get out of it? How to win friends and influence people in order that I'll get out of it, that I'll receive. That's what all the religions are in the world. How to get the most out of the small amount of time that you're here, how to make the best investment so that I'll receive, I will grow.
Isn't it true also for many Jews? I'm going to do the mitzvahs, so I'm going to go to heaven.
Of course, yes, of course. That was the reason why the Jews worshipped the golden calf. Immediately after, a few days after, they saw God. God spoke to them, their souls jumped out of their bodies. When they heard each commandment of God, they couldn't take it. They only heard the first two commandments. I am God that took you out of Egypt. Don't worship any other gods. You can only worship the God that took you out of Egypt. 40 days later, they all worshiped the golden calf. Or they participated one way or another in the worshiping of the golden calf. How could they do it? Because the Torah depends on on taking the attitude of Abraham, that you don't think about yourself, you think about only the goal. That's what all music, sports, in general, you think about only the goal, right? A judge is supposed to only think about justice. If you receive, they catch him receiving, thinking about himself, what he's going to get out of a political gain, something like that. That's called bribery. That's called bribery. A person is supposed to be not bribed by himself, by the world. He's supposed to think only about the goal, to make the world a better place, to be an honest person, to be a positive person, to be a God-fearing person. That's what he's supposed to do. It was not to think about themselves. The Jews got the Torah. When God revealed himself, they didn't think about themselves. Their souls jumped out of their bodies. Right? They weren't able to think about themselves. As soon as they thought about themselves, their souls would jump out of the body. Like it says, the high priest, the Kohen Gadol, when he went into the Holy of Holies, he would think one thought outside of exactly what he was supposed to do, he would die. It wasn't just a punishment. It's like a fighter pilot or something, all of a sudden thinking about the who's going to win the next basketball game. It's one small thought, he's out.
I've read that they used to tie a rope.
Right, the last 40 years it says.
Yeah, around the Kohen Gadol, in case he tied that and pull him out.
They would die.
And it happened quite often.
The last 40 years, the Kohen died every year. Yeah. But it's the same thing here. The Jewish people, as soon as they started thinking about themselves, so they got scared and they worshipped the golden calf. They got ideally, it's supposed to be that the purpose in life is so important and your goal is so important that you don't think about the bad things. You don't think about yourself. Like this Professor Viktor Frankl, he brings a story about a man who broke his neck and he became a quadriplegic. He was paralyzed from the neck down. At a young age, he was a very sportsman sort of person. He was into sports. And he said, I broke my neck, but my neck didn't break me. So he tried to find something positive to do, and it ended up he became a psychiatrist and he helped people. So if you have a goal that's strong enough, a purpose, a meaning that's strong enough, as that really makes you alive. That makes the difference between a human being and an animal. An animal always thinks about itself. So the idea is that the world should take the example. The Jews should first of all take the example from Moshe, and then the world should take the example from the Jews. In other words, think about something bigger than yourself, outside of yourself. Fix the world. The Or Meir Begileh. That's what it means. The light will shine in a revealed way. In the future, when we transform this darkness to light, is there'll even be a bigger type of light. Like I think I've said before, that I had some connection with addicts, drug addicts, alcoholics, and all of them, when they stop being alcoholics, when they finally get a control over things, as they all say, I would never, to go back to what I was, I would never do it in a million years. But to lose the victory that I had over this terrible dragon of addiction, so that I wouldn't give up in a million years. In other words, just the victory over that in some way makes him a totally different person than anybody else. He's more in contact with what life really is about. Sheru Mashin is that's what it means. The whole world is addicted to selfishness. And this is what comes from Shtus Telumazeh, taking the insanity of the world, egotism, self-destruction, and transforming it into constructing the world. This is what's called crushing. That's why they're called crushing. Hu ma shemitbarer misheker v'kesher. The boards of the tabernacle were called crushim. Crushim means boards, but the word keresh, kuf resh shin, is also a reorganization of the three letters of lies, sheker, and the letter kesher, to be attached. And from purifying this attachment to the world and the lies that a person gets himself into, nasa karshia mishkan, this is what the tabernacle is made of. In other words, the tabernacle is made from worldly things. So to do evil is a terrible thing, but to transform it is the highest. Uba avodah, and in serving God, this is what the esek Torah, that when a person actually works at learning Torah. The kiyum mitzvahs, we have to remember the Torah is the wisdom of God right now. This is what God is thinking, what God is aware of, God's inner will right now. That's the commandments in the Torah. When a person attaches himself to the godliness of actually learning the Torah and doing the commandments, mahapchim, this transforms hahergish, the feeling of the world, dem Welt, the world, gefühl, the feeling of the world, al hergish eloki, to a feeling of godliness. And that's why it's such a terrible, awesome sin and insanity. These people, these religions that try to say that the Torah is no longer relevant and you don't have to do the commandments, etc. It's literally destroying the world. V'hainu, the hergesh ha'olam, the feeling of the world. A person feels the world is real, right? Someone laughs at me, that's real. Someone cuts me off, that's real. Right? Someone offers me money, that's reality, right? And that makes me angry, it makes me lustful, it makes me amazed, it makes me this person's best friend. He gives me a couple dollars, I'm his best friend, right? This is lamata minadas, this is below normal, kanis galeel. All the time they catch these senators and governors and judges and things that they get caught in all sorts of weird scandals, these weird crazy scandals. They find some lady or somebody gives them some money, something like that. The man was a judge, the man was in the Senate. You know how many people can be in the Senate? Anybody can accept money, anybody can find himself a girl. Anybody can do that. To be a senator, to be a congressman, it's a tremendous position of responsibility and an opportunity to do good. What does the person do? It runs after like a dog, like a cat, right? Like giving a dog a bone. A person runs after it. That's insanity, but people do it, right? People do it, and if they get away with it, they think that they're on the top of the world. Oh. Hine, al yidei isaskus b'Torah b'mitzvahs, by means of working in Torah and the commandments, mehapchim, we can transform this whole confusing, disappointing, ugly world into light. As men zol der Herren, that we can feel them noam arivos, the pleasantness, the sweetness of doing a mitzvah, the limud Torah, and doing the Torah. V'zehu bati lagani, that's what it means. Bati lagani laganuni, I have come to my garden, to my wedding canopy. Lamakam, to the place, shahaya ikro, that his essence was bitchila, in the beginning. And in the beginning, when God created the world, a kavana, the intention, God's intention in creating and maintaining the worlds, who is what shenithava Kodesh Baruch Hu, God wanted liot lo, that there should be for him Yisborech dira, a dwelling place. God wanted a dwelling place, and He wanted it betachtonim, in the lower worlds. Not in the upper worlds, not in the heavens. Al yedei, by means of avodat adam, by means of service of man. Bebechina, in a way of eskafia v'eshapcha. Here we go. Bebechina is in a way of eskafia and eshapcha, by means of self-control and self-transformation. As God put us in this world, and He gave us selfish natures. That's what He gave us, and He wants us to work on it and change it. A person that does this, a Yosheves Beganim, is sitting in the gardens. The Ganim a base Bechinas Gan Eden. These are two levels of heaven. Like we said before, the lower heaven, which is the world of Yetzirah, and the upper heaven, which is the world of Bria. Tremendous revelations of meaning, purpose, godliness, life. Each one according to his service. When a person does this, chaverin, this is a sentence in Shir HaShirim, and this is what the second group of 5 paragraphs is based on. Friends, the lifamim, sometimes, who are these friends? It says sometimes the friends are called, excuse me one second. And the friends, sometimes it says the friends, these are the angels. And sometimes it says that the friends are souls in heaven. And it says, sometimes mineshama ne'atzelet. Sometimes one soul comes from another soul. So all the past incarnations of a person. Hamakshivim, they listen. L'kol ha'oskim b'Torah, to those who work in Torah and do the commandments. In other words, that's what he said, B'kula Omen. When a Jew does a mitzvah, he has no idea what he's doing. A mitzvah is an action in this world, but it's nothing like anything in the world. It's above the spiritual. There are a lot of Kabbalistic books that explain what the mitzvahs, what happens when a mitzvah is done. What happens in the upper worlds when it's done. But that's just explanations. That's the middle. Right? It's like the psychiatrist explaining what is love, what is care, what is being genuine. You can explain it, all these levels, but it's nothing like the actual love itself, right? A mother's kiss to her child, a father's holding his son's hand, somebody giving somebody a pat on the back. You can explain, you can write books about that, what it is, but it's nothing like the actual deed. It touches the essence of the father and the son, the mother and the child. The essence. What is honesty? What is beauty? You can explain these things away, but the explanations, unless you're very good at it, the explanations themselves are not beautiful. The explanations are explanations. Right? The same thing, a person does a mitzvah, so there's all these Kabbalistic explanations. And it's worthwhile to understand them also. Chassidus also explains, there's a book, Derech Mitzvotecha, by the third Rebbe of Chabad, and explains what tefillin is, and what the different commandments are. Beautiful. But it's nothing like actually doing it. A person actually does a commandment, he gives pleasure to God Himself. And all the upper worlds, which are just creations of God, when the Creator is happy, so all the upper worlds are happy. Everything goes the way it's supposed to go, just like a healthy person. Right? When a person is healthy, so then he can function, he can do all sorts of other things. Right? But the health is the main thing. The person is healthy. If a person is sick, he can be the biggest genius, he can be the biggest musician, he can be the biggest a wonderful person, politician, but if he's sick, he has an ingrown toenail, whatever, he can't function. And he can't function in the world. So this is, we want to make the whole entire world healthy. That's what it means that when a Jew learns Torah, it starts the circulation going. If a Jew learns the Torah, but he has to learn it in the proper way.
So we need to be cognizant when we do a mitzvah that's much bigger than we ever imagined.
Right. We have to realize, listen, God is much bigger than we can possibly imagine. Yes, but God is creating us with intention. We are important to God. That shows how important we are. We are made of nothing. We are absolutely nothing. We're big miracles. God is creating us every single instant. But so really it comes down to we're zero. But God is creating us. God personally is creating us. We're not here just by accident or by some sort of cosmic, whatever it is, cataclysm, whatever it's called. A cosmic mistake. We're here by the intention of, not the intention of the gods or of the spirits or of the powers or of the whatever it is, or of karma or whatever it's called. We're here because God personally wants us to be here. That's every human being in the world. Every animal, every tree also, but animals and trees, they don't have free will. They don't have a free will what to do. They don't have much potential unless man brings out that potential. We had a potential of an ox to pull a cart. An ox on his own doesn't pull a cart. He hasn't got no place to pull it to. What's he going to pull a cart? What does he care about what's in a cart? An ox. But a human being can actually harness an ox, and more difficultly, he can harness the ox within himself. He says, when that happens, then all of the souls and all the angels and all the powers from the highest upper world, they come down to this world to listen. Omra Kodesh Baruch Hu, God says, L'bnei Yisrael, Knesset Yisrael, to the Jewish people, you, hapazura, that you're spread out, begola, in the exile, Paroa beganim, and you are grazing in the gardens of others. Right, all sorts of weird religions and all sorts of weird philosophies and all sorts of real political. Hu al derech techasiv. It's like it says, Ki arba ruchos hashamayim parasti eschem. And it's like it says that the four directions of the heavens I have spread you out. There are Jews in these weird Tibetan monasteries, and I just saw a picture the other day of some Chabad shaliach putting tefillin on one of these monks. He's dressed in an orange robe with a bald head with a little, whatever it is, a little ponytail on the back, and the guy's putting on tefillin. Right? They're putting on tefillin on Santa Clauses and Macy's and putting on, right? Jews are spread out all over the place. Well, but calls that nevertheless, Yeshavas Beit Knesset, nevertheless the Jews still find a way to sit in synagogues or Beit Midrashas and places of learning to learn Torah. This purely mundane thing of learning the Torah, we have no idea what effect it has in the upper worlds and by God Himself. We have no idea. Befrat kaviyat eating the Torah, and especially if you set times for learning Torah barabim publicly, hine achaverin, then the friends, which they're the malachei shoresh, which these are the ministering angels, that they're called chaverin because they all get along with one another. The angels, it says the angel of fire, the angel of water, Gabriel and Michael, they get along together, right? Oseh shalom bin momov, that's what we say. God, the one who makes peace in the upper worlds. All these angels are totally different natures, and they all get along together. They all do their jobs. He should make peace on us, especially. I'm sorry. The fee because she'ein beineim lokina velosina velotachos. The angels, they have no jealousy and no hatred, and there's no competition between them. Machshivim lekolecha. They come down to this world to listen to a Jew learn the Torah. Al Shem Zeh, and therefore Nikraim Yisrael, the Jewish people are called Sevaot. The Jewish people are called the armies or the hosts of God. It says, On that very day, Yatz'u came out, call Tziva'ot Hashem, all of the hosts, the armies of God, Me'eretz Mitzrayim, from Egypt. The Jewish people are called the armies of God. He made Tziva'ot. What does it mean, the armies of God? The Jewish people came out. Why the armies? Hakavana o Yisrael means the Jewish people. Kamosh Gatu Vayi Be'etzam Hayom Hazeh Hotzi Hashem, God brought out at Bnei Yisrael Me'eretz Mitzrayim Al Tzivotam. He took them out on their hosts or on their numbers. We'll see what it means. The Tzarech La'abim, we have to understand Ma'uzet Yisrael K'nikut Tzavot Hashem. Why are the Jews called the armies of Hashem? And the next 20 paragraphs are going to deal with this. The Shem Tzavaot, this name Tzavaot is not mentioned in the Torah. Tzavaot is according to some opinions, is one of the names of God. Tzavaot. It's not mentioned in the 5 books of Moses. Where is it mentioned? It's mentioned by the mother of Shmuel, Hanavi, Chana. She mentioned the Tzavaot. But Khan, Korah Yisrael, but here in the Torah, the Jews are called Tziva'ot Hashem. So Tziva'ot, used as a name of God, is not in the Torah. But the Jews here are called, but eventually it becomes one of the names of God. Jews, but the Jews are called Tziva'ot. Tziva'ot means the armies. Tzva in the army. Tzva Haganah, it's the army. Again, B'Yetziat Mitzrayim, also when the Jews went out of Egypt, they're called Tzivotam. They are called the hosts, the armies of God. By Etzem Hayom Hazeh, like on that day, Hotzi Hashem et Tzivoteihem. He brought their armies or their hosts or whatever. We'll see, the word Tzivot has 3 meanings. Me'eretz Yisrael. Ella, the word Tzava has 3 Purushim, has 3 meanings. Aleph, one is Chayil, a soldier. A soldier is in a Tzava. Tziva'ot Hashem means the armies of God. Beret Beit, another one, Zman Mugbal, a limited time. A limited time is the word Tzava. Happens to be limited, another word. Kamosh Gatuv, Halot Tzava La'enosh Alei Oretz, is there not a limit to a man on the earth? A person only has a limited amount of time. The Rebbe brought this before. People only live a certain amount of time. That's the way God made it. Since Adam ate from the tree, people die. Everybody dies. So a person only has a limited amount of time in the world. Gimel in the third, Miloshen Sivion. How do you want? What is it called? The diversity. Diversity. Kamayim Razal al Pasuk v'yechulu hashamayim v'oz v'called Sava'ama. The earth and the heavens were finished right in the end of the 6 days of creation. In the book of Bereshit, it says God created L'tziva'ama. He created their hosts. It's translated as Tzivionam, with all of their diversity, with all the diverse types of animals, plants, rocks, etc. What does it mean when the Jewish people are called Tziva'ot? It means the Neshamas Israel, the Jewish people, they are chilukim. They are very diverse. B'medregotam, in their levels. Bali Hasaga, there are those Jews that are intellectual. She'em Mari Torah, they especially find their place in learning Torah. Mari Razin, there are Jews that they are especially expert at the secrets of the Torah, Vasodot, Ili'in, and the upper secrets. Mari Chochmata, those who are the masters of wisdom. Usually in all the Kabbalah books, especially let's say the Zohar and others, there are Tanaim. There are these great rabbis that are mentioned that they usually are not mentioned in the Gemara, in the Talmud. And usually the rabbis that are mentioned in the Talmud are not mentioned in the books, secret books. They're not mentioned in the mystical books, right? There are rare exceptions. Of course, the greatest exception is Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai.
We've mentioned in the Gemara.
They're both mentioned. That's why I see it's an exception. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai is mentioned very often. Stam Rabbi Shimon is Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Whenever it says Rabbi Shimon Omar, it usually means Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. He's mentioned also in the Mishnah and the Gemara, and also, of course, in Kabbalah. The book of the Zohar was his was his wisdom. Rabbi Akiva also to a certain degree. Rabbi Akiva, there's what's called Othio to Rabbi Akiva. There's a book which is called The Letters of Rabbi Akiva. And it says Rabbi Akiva was one of those four that wanted to have, but still Rabbi Akiva did not write any Kabbalistic books as such. Mm-hmm. So there's, usually the way it is, there's certain Jews that they find their niche in the secrets of the Torah, and there's others that they find their niche in the revealed Torah. Nowadays, every Jew is supposed to learn everything, right, as much as he can. As much as he can. The problem a little bit with learning Kabbalah is that if it's taken too literally, you can think that God is like a person and that he has and also you can also make another big mistake, which is even a bigger mistake in learning Kabbalah, is that the upper worlds are more important and real than this physical world. And you shouldn't care about this physical world at all. Which is a good point, but it's not so. It's not so. This world is in fact very important. So a person can learn Kabbalah and he can think that all that matters is the upper worlds, etc., and doesn't care, what he, how he dresses and how he looks, and if he has a family or he doesn't. That was Ben Azai, says one. Yes.
It's interesting. After having read through the Zohar at least one time, I was instilled with this idea that not that heaven was better than us, but that heaven was as real as this reality is real to us.
Right. Right. The heavens is as real as this world, but in the heavens there's no evil and there's no disappointments.
It's a different world.
And there's no right. So why deal with this physical world where there's all these tension and difficulties and problems? And so it could be that a person learns the Zohar and learns these spiritual things, and he just devaluates the physical world.
But so you can't lose track of the idea that this world is as real to us as heaven is to the angels.
Right, but it's supposed to be the other way around. It's supposed to be the other way around. It's supposed to be, like it says here, when a Jew sits and learns Torah, the angels leave the heavenly worlds and they come here. After the world, whatever is finished, there's going to be the raising of the dead, is all the souls will come to this physical world.
So this world is higher than that.
That's right, because this world is higher. And that's what Chassidut expresses.
Okay.
Right, that's what Chassidus is. Kabbalah expresses that the upper worlds are, like you say, equal or more important, for sure more pure than this world is. And Chassidut expresses the idea of all of this, all the upper worlds, the whole thing is created only in order to make this world the ultimate dwelling place for God himself. In the upper worlds, God does not dwell, because the upper worlds are a descent from God. It's a lowering. This world where we can do what God wants is going to be the highest revelation. That's what it says in the book.
The heavens and the host were created before man.
Right.
So they were set up. You could say that they were created to serve men.
Yeah, you could say it. Yeah, sure. You can say that. Or on the other hand, you can say the opposite. It's like creating a big maze, so that people will get out of it. Right. So the world is like the world was created. It's this big maze. He created birds. He created animals, and then he puts man in the middle of it. Get out. Right. He's going around trying to get out.
It's a lot more complicated than you can imagine.
That's what people think that it is. There used to be this game. I don't know if there still is. I remember I hit a Chabad house in Or Yehuda, and there used to be stores. They had these big computers. And there was only one game on it. It was called Pac-Man.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Pac-Man. I used to go and I would try to put the fill-in on the boys. Sometimes, and there was no way you could put it on. When they were in the game, forget it. But if they won, they were in good mind, they could put it on. What was it? It was the most stupid thing. There's a little ball with a mouth, and it went around there and ate up things. Well, some people think that that's what the world is about. You just go and you eat up mitzvahs, and you eat up Torah, and you eat up this, and you get more and more points. And then finally you die, I won. You go up to heaven. Okay, listen, it is definitely a motivation. There's no doubt about it. And if everybody lived that way, it would be, a peaceful world, and the world would be orderly. But that's not what God wants. God does not want everybody to go up to heaven. God wants us to make this world a good place, to worry about other people. to worry about others, to take a little bit of time away from our, devouring these little whatever red balls or whatever they are, and think about others and help other people. Go out of the game. There are simple people. And they do good deeds. That they do Torah v'mitzvahs in a simple way. Gam oskim, and they also occupy each person ba'avodato in his service lefi erko b'tamchin doraita, according to be a supporter of the Torah, to be a supporter of the Torah in their bodies, u'b'mamonom, and with their money, the money that you would get, help people learn Torah. Hine zeu tzivionam. That's what it means in their diversity. Shehu tachlita yofi. This is the ultimate beauty. Right? If you go to listen to an orchestra and it's all clarinets, right? Whoa! And after half an hour you finish. Like you go to I personally, go to the what's it called? The klezmer festival. And you're everybody's playing clarinets and they're playing the same thing. Clarinets from Poland, the clarinets from Russia, clarinet from this, clarinet from here, and you have another clarinet. After a while, right? After a while, it's like hell. It's another clarinet hell. You go to that would be the worst thing. People love it. There's some people who love it. You hear only one, right? You go to them, you hear only violins. After a while, it's okay, but after a while, and then Tachlit Yafi. Masha Kalul Miriboy Gavanim, that was concluded from multitude of colors. The more colors and the more types there are, the better. So some people can say there's so many different types of Judaism. There's the Sephardic Jews and there's the Lubavitcher Jews. There's the Chassidim. There's all these groups of Chassidim, all these different groups of Lubavitcher Jews, all these groups of Sephardic Jews. And every Jew is different from everybody else. Why can't they all be the same? So the answer is that it would be terrible, boring. God wants a beautiful world, and that's the ultimate beauty, when everyone has something to contribute. Everyone has something that no one else has. That makes the world interesting, makes the world beautiful. The Gavon Echad, that one color, Hari Ein Bo Yofi, it is not really beautiful. Artists that make a picture one color, it could be that they're fantastic artists, but the pictures are not beautiful. It's not a beautiful picture. It could be an artistic picture, it could be wonderful, but it's not a beautiful picture, right? There's some artists that they can draw with black on white, just a couple of lines, and you see the line, you can see it's a horse, it's a mountain. Ooh, it's amazing, right? You're talented, but it's not beautiful. It doesn't look beautiful. Beauty is when there's a lot of colors, when there's a combination, a proper combination of colors. You see a sunset or something like that. Then you can see the things that are beautiful. Nowadays in art, I don't know if there's, maybe for the last, 50, 60 years, there's a drive to go away from beauty, to be as ugly as possible, to be as unharmonious, right, as possible, to show the ugliness of reality, to show that it's in music and it's art and it's in everything.
Conceptual
art. Conceptual or whatever. Rare is the you look, this is beautiful, this is something else, right? Fadavka riboy gavanim, only if there are a multitude of colors. Hari mamshichin giloi bechinas havaya al yedei avodasan. Only if there are many colors and the colors are properly balanced can you see beauty in the service of God. And that's what the world is. The world is really a very beautiful place. Sava, shehu hagbala v'moed. And there's also the word sava, means limitation. A set time. Hu al derech yomim yatzuru v'lo echa b'hem. It says the days, God made the days, and there's different meanings of this. And to God there is one of them, is Yom Kippur, or lo echad b'hem, and that God is one. You have to make God one in them. In any case, there's a certain number of days that God gives every person. Tzava la'enush, a set time la'enush for a person, ale oretz, on the earth. Delakol adam, to each person, har yesh lo zman kavua, he has a set amount of time, to yomim yotzru, of days that are formed for him. V'kasher mashlim yomav, and when a person finishes his days ba'avodat birurim, beskafia, that he controls himself and he transforms himself, azu b'chlal tzavot Hashem, then he is in part of the armies of God. And also in the, what do you call it, the diversity, the beauty of God. And also the limited time that God has given him. He made infinity from limitedness. A person's life is limited, but every moment is infinite. A person can use every moment to connect himself with the infinite creator. And that makes infinity in this world. And when you do that, that's like an army that defeats the enemy. The enemy in this case is ignorance, confusion, limitedness, negativity. That's what it means. On this very day, all of the armies, the hosts of God went out of Egypt. Tzivaot Hashem. These are the Jews. And the Rebbe is going to explain in the Maimon that one thing of a soldier, unlike any other type of a servant, is a soldier is going to risk his life. We'll learn that later. Sha'al yedei avoda birurim, by means of the service of refining the world, besakafia, by forcing ourselves, beshapcha, and transforming ourselves, hinehem mevarim, we clarify, umzachim, and we refine the whole entire world. The world is so confusing. When you see a Jew doing what God wants, and he's doing it, and he says, I'm doing it because God wants me to do it, and you see that he's not doing it for any purpose, it's a beautiful thing. The osim mikesher, they made from the word kesher, attachment to the world, kerish, one of these boards from the base of Mikdash. Hainu, shemiyakesher the olam, for being attached too much to the world, from letting the world bribe us and scare us and entice us. The masha olam maria, that's what, that which the world shows itself, the metziut, to be a real thing, and the only thing, harizeh sheker, it's really a lie. The fact is, the world is a big creation, and God is creating it and directing it every moment. And the point that our job is to react properly, or to proact properly. Okay, you do it. The ikar hu achayos. The main thing is the life hamachayato. Everything there is, the main thing is the life which keeps it alive, right? A person has a pet, a dog, or whatever. A havdil has a friend. A person dies, they put him in the ground, right? You don't knock on the door. Hello, can I? Is Joe home? Well, we put him in the ground. Why'd you put him in the ground? We just, decided to put him. Did he die? No, he didn't die. He's okay. Just put him in the ground. There's no such thing, right? It doesn't exist. That's ridiculous, right? As soon as the life of a person is gone, they put the person in the ground. There's no question about it, right? There's just no value in it anymore, right? The thing, a car doesn't work, you throw the thing away, right? The life is the main thing. What works inside of it. Hine kasher lomdim Torah, when a person learns the Torah, u'mekayim mitzvahs, nishapech lekerish, then it transforms to a kerish, to a board of the holy temple. U'me'atze shitim, and it has to be from what's called shitim, wood that's standing up. Shitim, as we explained before, means a certain type of craziness. You have to be a little bit not normal in order to think, I only want to do what God wants, and I'm not going to listen to what the world or what everybody else around me says. Umechavrim, we join Or Ein Sof. By means of this, we may become a pillar that joins the upper worlds, the roof, godliness, Or Ein Sof, with the physical world. And therefore it's called Tzivaot Hashem. Therefore the Jews are called the hosts of God, the armies of God. Shem Megalim Umamshichem Gilui Hashem. They reveal the beauty and the revelation and the diversity of God in the world. Sava is a Zman Mubal, and everyone has a certain amount of time to do it. Sava means Tzivaot Hashem, you only have a limited time in your life to do this. To call Avodasam, that all of the service, Asher Biyameim, which are in a person's life, Yotzru, were already determined. Shenitan L'Kol Echad, these are the days that were given to each and every person a certain amount of time to do the most, and we don't know when that time is. So do as much good as you can, as soon as you can. Yelo echad, that we should reveal the God's oneness in the world. It says Yomim Yitzoru v'lo echad me'am, lo with a vav, to him. She'ya'ir v'yizgala, that should be revealed the God's oneness in this world. Al yidei avodato, by means of our service, we should reveal the level of Hashem Echad, oneness, the oneness of God, that this whole world is really a beautiful creation, constantly by the one God. Kitzer, we continued by saying the kesher and sheker of the world that's being attached and the lie to the lies of the world can be transformed to the kirish, to one of the boards of the Mishkan, because every Jew is a holy temple. And by means of this, Bati Laganuni, God comes back to his garden, to his wedding canopy, that it was when the world was created, and even higher. V'chaverim makshivim, and all the angels come to listen. Al Shem Zeh, therefore the Jewish people are called Sivot, they're called the hosts of God. Lashon Chayil, an expression of soldiers. Zman, a set amount of time. But Tzivion, and diversity, revealing the goodness of God in this world.